All right, I often have this conversation with people that has to do with the system. You know, how do you get out of the system? Jaimie, how did you get as much freedom as you have, and blah, blah, blah. Well, you know, when we talk about the system, like I have an idea of what it is in my head, and I understand it well enough to have this instinct about where I need to go to get more freedom and to get more out of the system as I'm moving. But I generally haven't had a good enough understanding to explain it to someone else. So whenever I have these conversations about the system, it always kind of becomes this vague thing where we're not necessarily talking about the same thing. So I thought, all right, I want to figure out how to explain this thing, this system, this thing, the matrix that traps people. Because without understanding what it is, you can't get out of it. You know, just imagine like in the matrix. This is a metaphor, obviously. I don't think we're in the matrix. You know, it doesn't matter what Neo did in the matrix. He could try anything you wanted. He could never get out of the matrix until he understood that he was suspended in this pod of goo with a bunch of wires attached to him. That was what was really going on. That was the nature of the matrix. And without that perspective, there was no way for him to get out. So I said to my brain, all right, brain, point me in the right direction. How do I figure out how to explain this thing? And I immediately thought about all those videos online where people explain how to move up the social ladder, how to get a better position in the dominance hierarchy, like how to become an alpha male. You know, there's just thousands of those videos online, and I always find something just wrong about them. Like something is just not right. So I was like, all right, let me go watch one of these from one of the particularly intelligent individuals. So I'm watching this video, and he's going on about the dominance hierarchy and how to get your better position and what you need to do and blah, blah, blah. And it's kind of boring, and I'm like, it's just a pile of garbage. And then suddenly his tone changed, just for a second. He went from like, I am speaking the gospel, and this is God's word. I mean, he wasn't speaking about God or anything, but just that tone, like this. And for a second, he threw out this, and you know, we're kind of have nothing else we can do, and then just went right back into, and this is the way it is. So just for a second, he was like coming up with an excuse, like kind of apologizing for this thing, for this whole dominance hierarchy thing. And what he said was, I'm paraphrasing here, basically the dominance hierarchy has been around for millions of years, and therefore, there's no way around it. It's the right thing to do. That's what we have to do. That's what we do. And I thought, wait, that doesn't make any sense. He just said that something is really old, therefore that's what you do, or that's what's right. Like when you boil it down, he's basically saying, if it's old, it's right. And I thought, no, murder has been around for millions of years. We're trying not to do that. And I mean, there's like a million examples of things that are old that are not good. So why is this guy, who's a very intelligent guy, who generally seems to want to do good things, why is he making excuses for what he's saying that make no sense whatsoever? And I thought the rational reason for that would be that he's making an excuse for something he needs. He can't live without it. And I thought, yeah, he's in this dominance hierarchy. He is completely dependent on it. He's stuck in the system. He's 100% stuck in the system. And it's because in the position in the system where he has no access to natural resources. He can't feed himself without the people below him feeding him. And you know, it just led me through this whole thought process that kind of shed light on the whole thing. And what's going on is there are two different dominance hierarchies that humans have. That a lot of animals have, actually. But obviously, I'm just talking about humans here. One is a natural dominance hierarchy that just happens, and the other is an artificial dominance hierarchy. To illustrate this, let's talk about a sports team for a second. Now, in a sports team, pick your sport, it doesn't matter. There's a guy with like a C on his shirt, beside his name. He's got a C. That means he's the captain. That means in the dominance hierarchy, he's the top guy. Right? Well, there's another dominance hierarchy. And, he's also got his, assistant captains and blah, blah, blah. But I'm simplifying this, so I don't want to get bogged down in details. So there's another guy on the team. And often, occasionally it's the same guy, but often it's a different guy. I would say in life it's usually a different guy, almost always a different guy. There's another guy on the team who people refer to as the field captain. He's not the captain, he's the field captain. And that's the guy who, when you're playing the game, he's yelling at everyone, go over here, do that, these guys are coming over here, getting everyone organized. Getting people pumped when they're playing, scoring the goals, setting up the plays and everything. That's the guy who's making it happen. So there's two different kinds of captains on a sports team often. The captain with the C on his shirt. And that captain became the captain because he talks. He says, yeah, I want to be the captain, I'll take care of it. And then at the beginning of the game, he goes, talks to the referee. And when the press comes over, he goes and talks to the press. He does a lot of talking. Doesn't mean he's a bad player. Just means he does a lot of talking, and that's why he's the captain. And then you've got the field captain, who is the doer. That guy, he's too busy figuring out how to do the next play, how to win the game, how to make stuff happen, how to do stuff. He's working on the doing. He doesn't have time to talk to the press or to talk to the referee or flip the coin. He doesn't have time for that. He's busy doing. So the one captain, the artificial captain, who needs the C on his shirt and needs his name at the top of the list, that's the artificial captain. Because if you take that C away and take his name off the top of the list, no one knows who he is. So he's got to have that artificial thing making him the captain. And then the natural captain doesn't need anyone outside the team to even know that he's the field captain. Everyone on the team knows who that guy is. That's the guy who, if he doesn't show up, we are screwed, So, how does this apply in real life and getting out of the system? Well, right now, most of Western culture is dominated by the artificial dominance hierarchy. And the natural hierarchy has just been squished down by talking and money and violence. So when people talk about moving up the social ladder, getting a better position, they're not talking about naturally moving up the dominance hierarchy, not in the natural one, not learning how to do better and make things happen. They're talking about moving up the talking, the artificial hierarchy. So why has that hierarchy become so dominant? Well, it started just by people talking and saying, oh, well, I'm so important because I'm a politician and I need to do all this talking, and even though I don't actually do anything, all my talking is super important, and it's more important than these people who are doing things. So farmers, they're not important because they do things. The talking people, and the talking people just keep talking and talking and talking and convincing people that they're more important. And that kind of works to some degree, but a lot of people are still like, yeah, that's crap, dude. You're just all talk. The blacksmith is like 1,000 times more important than you. And then the talkers start getting more power. And let's just fast forward to today. What's going on today? The talkers are the politicians. The people at the CEOs at the top of the company. The people with control over the money. who tell everyone below them what to do, and the people below them just have to do it, or else they don't get paid. So why is this getting paid thing so important? Well, if you don't pay your taxes and your bills and your mortgage and all this stuff, you get thrown in jail. So if you just ignore the money for a second, what you see is this hierarchy of people, right? And this guy gets crapped on by the guy above him. And he craps on the guy below him. He takes everything from the guy below him, and he has to give stuff to the guy above him. And if he doesn't do that, he gets thrown in jail. Now, it doesn't work directly like that because there's a buffer zone that distracts people, which is, once you insert the money, well, this guy's only doing what that guy tells him because of the money. And he needs the money so that he can pay the taxes so he doesn't go to jail. But you see what's going on here is you have to do what the person above you says or you go to jail. It's a slave hierarchy. And the people who do things, the people who are like farmers and plumbers and mechanics, people who actually do things, they're shoved to the bottom of the hierarchy because the people who control the hierarchy, who control all the rules, are the ones at the top. They're the talkers, the politicians. They're the ones who talk all the time, and they're making the rules now. So if you see what's going on there, you realize that you can't get out of the dominance hierarchy, at least that one, the artificial dominance hierarchy. You can't get out of it by moving up. Because the higher up you go in the artificial dominance hierarchy, the more of your time is spent on maintaining your position there, and the less time you have to actually do things. So you get further away from natural resources. You get further away from self-sufficiency. You get further away from having skills, being able to do things. And you just get further into this, well, I need this paper on the wall, I need this certification, and I need these people to know that I'm amazing, and I need to have this car and this house and all these things that say I'm amazing. But whether or not you are amazing is totally irrelevant. So don't try to move up that dominance hierarchy. Don't try to become the alpha male in that artificial world of crap. You know what? Go right out the bottom. That's the way to get out of the dominance, to get out of the system. You go out the bottom. You can't get out the top. Because every time you move up, there's just another guy pooping on your head. And you're just pooping on a different person. And then you move up past that person, another person's pooping on you. And then you're pooping on a different person. It's all the same all the way up. And you could say, well, there's got to be a guy at the top. I don't know, sure, why not? Are you going to be that one out of 4 billion people? Probably not. So just go right out the bottom. Make yourself better in the natural dominance hierarchy. Get better at skills. Learn more. Be able to do more. Not in an academic way where you just know how to talk and debate endlessly and just blah, blah, blah. Learn things where you can actually do stuff. Where if no one else acknowledged you or what you can do, whatever you can do is still useful. That's how you get out of the system. Go out the bottom of the dominance hierarchy, at least the dominant dominance hierarchy today. And work on yourself and your own independence, and forget about moving up that hierarchy. Don't try to be the alpha, because there's just going to be another alpha ahead of you, and the more alpha you get in that ridiculousness, the further you get from anything real. Oh, and obviously, you can't just get out. You have to save enough money to get ahead so the tax man isn't on your butt. And one of the ways you do that is you don't move up the dominance hierarchy where it costs more and more and more. The cost of living goes up. You go down the bottom where cost of living is lower. That's how you get out. You can't just do it instantly. You have to do the work. You still have to work, save the money, don't spend the money, then buy your way out. By basically saving money, which buys you time. Just to give you an example of this, The tax on this land right here, 0. The more independent you can be, the more out of the system you can be. It's just some work to set it up. Part of the trap is that people in the system who see you going out the bottom will say, oh, you don't have the nice phone? What's wrong with you? Your clothes are not fancy enough. And why would you want to go eke out a meager existence doing things, like doing things instead of talking? And part of getting out of the system is just realizing how stupid all that is.